James Harden came away with the NBA MVP at the NBA Awards ceremony. Uh, One thing on the NBA Awards ceremony, I think it's a great ceremony. They got to push it up. It has to be like right after the NBA Finals, or it has to be a week before the NBA Finals starts. Like, to make it so many months after is kind of deflating, and it doesn't make any sense. Guys want to go on vacation too. Like, I guess this is the NBA's tactic of keeping your mind focused on the NBA throughout the summer. They got free agency, now they got the NBA awards ceremony, so it's just another way to do. It's another marketing ploy, but it'll be best served if it was right after the NBA Finals. It'll be a lot better, or right before, but it's too late. But back to James Harden, well deserved. A lot of people felt James Harden got robbed for like 2 MVPs. One of them, I'm gonna agree. The first time Stephen Curry won MVP, I had James Harden ahead of him because that was the year that he had D12 Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard got hurt that year, and James Harden was still balling, still had his team, I believe, second. That's the year they went to the Western Conference Finals. To me, that was a season that he should have won MVP, but he didn't win it. And then the 2 years ago, Russell Westbrook had all the crazy triple doubles or whatever the case is. So I mean, nobody was gonna pick over that. But even then, he had a case. This is well deserved. Like LeBron James said when he won his first NBA title, it's about damn time. Well, this is about damn time for James Harden. You're looking at a guy that led the league in 3-point field goals attempted, but led the league in 3-point field goals made. So he was a volume shooter, but he made them. He led the league in free throw attempts and free throw makes. He led the league in player efficiency, PER rating. That's huge. That's huge. To take that many shots and still lead the league in efficiency, that's huge. He averaged 30.4 points a game, 8.8 assists per game, and 5.5 rebounds. So he was balling out of control, guys. He was on pace to lead the league in points and assists. And the only person to do that is Nate Tiny Archibald. And he is a Hall of Famer, guys. So James Harden 100% deserves this award. Anybody else that thought somebody like a LeBron James or Anthony Davis deserved the award, you're smoking. Like if you look at James Harden's team, think about this. They went 65-17, 65 games, first in the West. They went to the Western Conference Finals. Took the Golden State Warriors to 7. If that whole entire season, when they won the 65 games, CP3 didn't play all of those games, guys. So people will say, well, Harden was on a good team. Yeah, he's on a good team because he's the main guy. That's why he was on a good team. That's why he was on a good team, ladies and gentlemen. So that being said, 100% well deserved. Honestly, if you think anybody else was your MVP, you're definitely a hater. Like, you're a hater. Like, how could we even think like LeBron James is your MVP? This team finished 4th in the East. Finished 4th. Like, come on, cut it out, man, cut it out. There's a lot to do about the simple fact that OKC has had like 3 MVPs in the past 4 years or 5 years, and how should they feel about that, or whatever the case is. What does that say about OKC? To me, that doesn't say much about OKC besides they know how to draft well. They can spot talent. The problem with OKC is they're too cheap to keep talent. You know what I'm saying? They're too cheap, and they don't have the tools in order to keep their talent happy. You see what I'm saying? The fact that you had 3 MVPs, you know how to get the talent. You just don't know how to keep the talent. It's sort of like a guy, he could date a lot of women, but there's guys that have this problem. They could get a hot chick, they just can't keep her for very long. Like, they can get her attention, they could maybe go on a date or two, but the attraction doesn't last very long. So the guy knows the girl's hot. They know how to entice them, but once the girl is around them, their true selves come out, and the guys don't want to stay. That's basically what happened with James Harden. They got James Harden in the draft, whatever, but they couldn't keep him over $4 or $5 million over the long term of his contract. They got KD, another MVP, but they couldn't keep him because they were too cheap to bring in guys, and they were too cheap to bring in a head coach that knew what he was doing. I'm not saying Billy Donovan doesn't know what he's doing in terms of basketball overall, but in terms of dealing with superstars, he hasn't been there yet. So, and then you got Russell Westbrook, who He's an MVP caliber guy, averaged triple doubles in back-to-back seasons. But look how mightily he's struggling because you don't want to bring in help and you're just too cheap. And then finally this year they brought in help with Carmelo Anthony and Paul George, and the team vastly underachieved and they got knocked out in the first round by the Utah Jazz. And most of it was it wasn't, you can't blame personnel, but it gotta be the strategy. The strategy just didn't work. You had the right personnel, you have two stars, and then you have Carmelo Anthony, who's like a declining star, but he still commands respect. How do you lose that series? Can't lose a series like that. So, it doesn't say, but to me, it doesn't say much besides we know how to we know how to draft the right talent. But more importantly, it says a lot about those guys because those guys, they thrived in adversity. KD won his MVP when Russ went down. Russ won his MVP when KD left. James Harden left, and he's been performing at such a high clip. I don't think OKC necessarily had the effect on them for them to win MVP. I think those guys are just special guys that no matter where they went, where people knew what they were doing, and adversity comes, that's when they rise to the occasion. I feel like all three of those guys rose to the occasion to win the MVP. I don't think it's necessarily an issue of OKC's a special place or anything like that. It has nothing to do with it. It's just basically those guys know how to rise to adversity. But James Harden, well-deserved. It's about time. Too bad you couldn't get the MVP and the NBA title. You could go for it again next year. Like you said, see you guys again next year. So we'll see how it is, how it plays out. Let me know who you thought was supposed to be MVP, and how do you feel about OKC basically having 3 MVPs, but drafting 3 MVPs, but having nothing to show for it.